All right, everybody's in.
Perfect. Hello, CCA families. Thank you for joining us tonight in this strange back to school meeting. I'm so glad you all were able to make it on a Friday night. I do have some things to share with you about how we're going to be returning on Tuesday. Some of us won't be returning on Tuesday, some on Thursday. So we will begin with a slideshow, and we will ask that if you have questions, please type them in the chat box down below on the bottom of your screen. And what we will be doing is taking all of those questions and developing a frequently asked questions form, because I'm sure the questions you have are questions that other people have as well. And so we will create that form and we will load it up to our CCA website. It'll be under the elementary tab. And so then you can see what the answers to those questions were. And if we still didn't answer your questions, you can also email me right from our CCA webpage. You can contact me that way too. So if you see something that comes up and you're wondering, just go ahead and type it in the chat box. Okay, so we have a two-phase start to our school year, and I want to kind of back up and talk about how this plan came to be. Back on June 30th, our governor released a back-to-school roadmap, and that roadmap was developed by educators from all over the state, from big schools and little schools, all over the UP, Northern Michigan, and there was representation from all over the state. And they developed the roadmap for us that talked about the different phases that the governor assigns to our risk level. Currently, we're in phase 4. And so we had to develop a plan based on their recommendations, their roadmap for phase 4. We had committees. We had 4 different committees in our school. So your teachers were hard at work on these committees all through July. And we met several times in those 4 different committees to take input both from parents. And we were very pleased at the turnout of our parent survey. Almost 100 families were represented, and that represented well over 200 children. So we really had great feedback, and we thank you for that, because that really helped us to inform our plan and make this plan real for us here at CCA. As we move forward with this plan, we all know that this is certainly not ideal. These are not ideal times at all. We all wish we were coming back to school just like we normally do, but we are in this great experiment of how to educate during a global pandemic. We're making history, and some of the things that we do may not work, and some of the things that we're not doing, maybe we should implement. And so this plan will be revisited regularly, probably about once a month, and we will talk about how we might need to tweak it based on recommendations from the health department, recommendations from the state of Michigan, recommendations from our families. And so it is definitely a work in progress, even though it took a long time to get to where we're sitting today. So with that being said, I'd like to start talking about our 2-phase start. We have divided everyone into red and blue cohort. A cohort is just a group of kids, and we did that so that we could have half of the students here at a time. That helps us to distance a little bit, but mostly it's because we have so many new things that we have to teach the kids. We're going to do things differently than they're used to. So we had to divide them so we had smaller classes so we could really teach them those protocols really well. So our red and blue cohort dates you can see on the screen. Basically, the red cohort will go for the first 2 days of that school week, and the blue cohort will go the second 2 days of that school week. Now, those first 3 weeks of school are all 4-day weeks, and that is why it is unique that You're not always going to go to school on a Monday or a Tuesday if you're in red. And so please take note of those dates and add them to your calendar. We thought we would go with a 3-week soft start since they were 4-day weeks anyway. And so it was a really nice way to divide kids in half. They will be attending 2 days, and then they can do some online work or homework on the other 2 days. Then when we get to September 14th, we will all be back together again. And that school week looks a little different. We're going to be attending on Mondays and Tuesdays, and we will be doing some deep cleaning on Wednesdays. And then we will come back and attend Thursdays and Fridays. Now, I will go into much greater detail about all of that later in this slideshow, but that's just the broad overview. Our general daily schedule here at school is that we will open doors at 7:45. That is different than last year. Last year was 7:30, and they were allowed to go down to the cafeteria to sit and wait. And we are not mixing big groups of kids this year, so we backed up the opening of the doors to 7:45. School will begin at 8, just like last year, and you're tardy after 8. We have lunches in the midday, just like we usually do, 2 recesses. They will have their specials classes. We have either art or music and movement. There's a 5th and 6th grade band option, and students will still be dismissed at 3. I will talk a little bit more about dismissal in another slide. The dismissal will take a little bit longer this year. Those of you who are new to our school, we do follow a dress code that includes a uniform shirt. And that uniform shirt is a polo shirt of any color, a solid color that has to be monogrammed. And you can look that entire dress code up here on our CCA webpage, and you will just click on Student Handbook. This slideshow will also be on our webpage with all of these links if you would like to look at this slideshow later. So we currently are in what is called phase 4 for risk level according to the state of Michigan. And so phase 4 is what I will be talking about today and how our plan will look. If the governor puts us back to phase 3, schools will go online again. If we go up to phase 5, we will loosen some of these safety guidelines. We won't discard them completely, but we can offer a little more wiggle room in phase 5. So these are just the general things that I'm going to talk in detail about on the next slides, but these are the general things we're doing to keep everybody safe. We're going to have daily health screenings, frequent hand washing and sanitizing, physical distancing, covering our faces, limiting the number of people that we have contact with, and that means we're not going to have large or mixed gatherings. We're limiting the use of shared materials or supplies in the classroom, and that is why on the supply list we asked everyone to have a pencil bag or a pencil box for their school supplies. And we have increased sanitizing and cleaning. So we'll start with daily health screening. All staff here at school must certify electronically. There is a questionnaire that all staff have to fill out before they're allowed to enter the building, and they have to certify that they're healthy to be here. And then we are asking that parents screen your children at home before you come to school. And what you're seeing on the screen right now is a refrigerator reminder. It has the COVID symptoms on there, and we just ask that at home you take their temperature and make sure that they don't have any of those symptoms before you bring them to school. We will not have an electronic form for families to fill out. We just ask that you do that at home, and your child will receive this refrigerator reminder after they while our red students will receive that reminder on their first day of school. And if you're picking up technology Monday, those of you who are online or in the blue group, you can pick up your technology on Monday and you can receive your refrigerator reminder as well. Some of the symptoms, I'm sure many of you have seen these symptoms before. This infographic is from the CDC. This is just a nice way to look and see, do I have any of these things? Again, this slideshow is on our webpage, so you can access this slide anytime that you would like. Visitor health screening. We are asking during phase 4 that parents do not enter the building unless absolutely necessary for the education of the child. And that means we may have some special meetings that we need to arrange with parents. And in the event that we have those meetings, we will ask you to do a health screening. Children that need to be signed in or out, like if they're coming in late or leaving early, there is the intercom at the front door that you're used to, and you can speak to our office secretaries through that intercom, let them know what you need. They will buzz you in to the foyer area. In the foyer area, we will have a podium. It will have our sign out sheet to sign the child out, and we will go get the child and bring them down to the foyer area for you. All visitors who do enter our building must complete a health certification form, just like the one that our staff do. It will not be electronic, and it does include a temperature screening here at the entrance. And when visitors are here, they must also wear a face covering. A face covering is a cloth mask or a disposable mask. It fits snugly over your nose, mouth, and chin. A face shield is a plastic barrier, but it is not considered a face covering according to our school attorneys. So CCA is going to be providing every student with one cloth mask. I wish I would have brought them. They're pretty snazzy. They have our mascot on them. They look great. We will give every student one of those to keep. And we'll talk about face shields in a moment. We also provide face shields, and those face shields slide on the bill of a hat. And so some kids will be very excited that they can bring their baseball caps and slide a shield on it. That might be a good option for somebody that likes to fidget with masks, because then they don't have to wear the mask while they have that shield on. There is a medical mask exemption form available. You can get those from the office, and you must wear a mask or choose online school until we get that form signed by a doctor. But that is available to some families. So who wears masks? When do they wear masks? And where do they wear masks? All adults in the building must have a face covering on at all times, other than when they're eating or drinking. And students must have a face covering in all shared spaces of the school. So hallways and bathrooms, any shared space. In the classroom, 6th grade students must wear a face covering while they are in their classroom. When the state put out the guidelines, they typically include 6th graders in with middle school. So it's certainly not ideal that our 6th graders here in the elementary have different rules than our 5th graders. Our kindergarten through 5th grade students may choose a face covering, or they could choose the shield, the face shield. If they have a hat, they could choose that instead. Or if people want to wear both of them, they can wear both of them as well for extra protection. We do have a 5th and 6th grade split classroom this year, and all of those 6th graders have to wear a mask. And so it is my hunch that it will be uniform for all of those students to just wear a mask. In probably, I'm guessing just out of fairness, because it's going to be hard to have some kids that don't have to wear it with a mixed grade level class. So I already talked about the hat or visor, and when students go play outside with their own class, and they're distanced enough, they can take that mask off and have a break. They can also take it off while they are eating or drinking. The bus. This is our first year offering busing. It's a little bit challenging for first year offering busing with all of these extra guidelines, but while on the bus, students must wear a face covering. They are providing hand sanitizer on those buses. We ask that family members sit in the same seat with their family members, and we're going to distance as much as possible from other riders on the bus. And our buses are sanitized after each route. Arrival to school, we talked about this before. Circle Drive is open for dropping off in the morning, but not before 7:45. We do not want people congregating out in front of the school. A lot of times kids like to get there early. Some of our walking kids like to get there early and play. And we're supposed to be keeping kids not mixing with people that aren't in their class. And so we ask that nobody arrive before 7:45. And we have different entrances for different grade levels so that we don't get a mass crowd of people at the doors. And so our very main entrance is for our kindergarten and first grade students. And then there is a gym entrance that's nearest to our library, and that will be for second and third grade students. Those students will enter through the gym and they will head up the south stairs to their classrooms. And then the north entrance, which is the entrance off of Pine Street, will be the entrance for our 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students. It's on the side of the building, and they will head up the north stairs of the school right to their classroom when they come in the building. There will be staff in the hallways, lots of staff in the hallways to guide them to their class, since they may not know where their class is located. So we are going to have staff all over the place to help them. Even if they forget the name of their teacher, we will have lists with us and we can help them out to get to their classes. We will have universal breakfast for anybody who would like it served in the classroom, and there is no charge for that. In our classrooms during phase 4, you will see all of our teachers have a web page, and on their web page, which is on the CCA web page, you can navigate the elementary tab, and then there's a link to all the teacher websites. And those websites have photos or videos, a video tour or photos of their classroom. And so you can go right on those websites and take a peek. And you'll notice that all of those desks have been distanced. Some of them are not 6 feet apart just because of the square footage of our classroom, but we did remove a lot of furniture from the classroom so that we could distance the desks. We're going to limit shared materials or disinfect them after use. And we have one-to-one Chromebooks, which means every single student will have a Chromebook issued to them, and they need to bring that every single day to school. Any shared books from the library or in the classrooms will be boxed up for at least 24 hours after a student uses it. We're just going to let it sit. And we will be doing proper hand washing, and mask use will be taught by our teachers so kids know how to put them on and off and how to wash their hands properly. We will be providing hand sanitizer, and we ask that any birthday treats that are brought in, instead of the good homemade ones, that we buy prepackaged, and that they're brought in at least 24 hours in advance of a birthday. The kids will have specials, as I talked about before. We have music and movement and art, and those teachers will be coming directly to the students' homeroom class. Some of them may choose to take them outside, which is great. The more we can get outside, the better. But they will not be going into the music room or into the art room. The teachers will come to them. Any shared materials will be sanitized, and I still think that they're going to have a great time in their specials classes. We are implementing project-based learning this year. We talked about that last spring. I'm sure many of you already know that. Our teachers have received project-based learning training over the summer, and they will continue to receive that training every month. And so this is also a work in progress. We will be having 2 to 3 project showcases this year where you can see what the kids have been working on. Depending on what phase we're in, maybe we'll be able to bring you into the school. That's my hope. But if we're still in phase 4, we will make videos so that you can see all of the great project work that the kids do this year. And I have a really short video for those that are brand new to our school of what project-based learning is.
What happens when teachers design projects that empower students with voice and choice? Students embrace a maker mindset. They define themselves as inventors and creators. They learn to take creative risks. Here they experiment and engage in iterative thinking. When this happens, they embrace a growth mindset and grow resilient. They become problem solvers and systems thinkers. They become divergent thinkers, thinking outside the box. They'll use creative constraint to find original uses for materials. Here they discover it's okay to be different. Often students embrace curiosity and wonder. They become explorers, seeking out new information and thinking critically. They grow more empathetic as they design meaningful products that they launch to the world. On an academic level, students are more engaged and the information sticks. There's often an increase in student achievement. Meanwhile, they learn key skills like project management, collaboration, and communication. True, these projects will prepare students for the creative economy, but more importantly, they empower students for a creative life. Here they see that making is magic. We know that there's a time crunch in schools. Materials can be scarce. Sometimes you're stuck with a tight curriculum map. But when you, as a teacher, empower your students with voice and choice, they become the makers who change the world.
Okay, so we are very excited for our project-based learning. We're partnering with the Van Andel Institute of Education in Grand Rapids. Some of you remember Mr. Ben Talsma. Mr. Talsma was here for 15 years with us, and when he left Crossroads, he went to Grand Rapids to work for the Van Andel Institute, and so he is our consultant for the entire year. So we're really happy to have him back with us and helping to guide us through this project-based learning process. So we are to the lunch slide. Lunches will be served in the classroom during phase 4. There will only be 2 choices for lunch this year. The main choice is a hot choice, and then the alternate choice will be something cold. It could be a sandwich, it could be a yogurt, I'm not really sure, but it'll be a cold choice. And students can bring their own lunches if they choose. We are awaiting authorization for free lunch for anyone that wants it. But in the meantime, if you need a free or reduced lunch form, just give us an email and we will make sure that your teacher sends that home with your child. The current price for a lunch is $2.65. A reduced price lunch is 40 cents and a milk is 50 cents. We will have pitchers of water in every classroom if as an alternative to milk, and all food will be individually packaged, including condiments, so students will not be sharing the ketchup bottle while they're in their classroom for lunch. We will still have library. Students will be able to check out books, and when they return them, we will put them in an airtight container for at least 24 hours before we put them back on the shelf. Our librarian will read stories inside the classrooms instead of the classrooms coming to her for story time. And of course, our library is being sanitized as well. Recesses, we will have 2 a day. Our playground will be divided in half with cones and caution tape so that students from the other class do not mix together. We will have 2 sets of balls that we will change out and sanitize in between the recess groups. Our playground equipment will be regularly sanitized, And masks are not required outside if they are with their own class and if they stay relatively distant from each other. Band is going to be held on the auditorium stage. The band room is just not big enough to distance, and so Mrs. Mitchell has the stage all set up. Right now for band, we will have covers over the horn bells. They will have special masks that have valves for the horns to fit in their mouths. Fifth graders will be offered something called pre-band this year that will take place 2 days a week. And the sixth graders will also attend band 2 days a week with their own classroom. The chairs and the stands will be sanitized. If we get to stage 5, when we can mix classrooms again, then the entire sixth grade band will meet for band at the same time. But for now, we have to split them up. Our Wednesday Learning Center is a time for kids to work on their online work that teachers will be providing through the Google Classroom. This center is designed for families that just absolutely do not have another option on Wednesdays. We are trying to sanitize the school on Wednesdays. Our custodial staff will be coming into every classroom. Our teachers will be working in their classrooms, and they will be providing that online content. We have about 55 families that are learning from the elementary school online. And so those Wednesdays are for teachers to be sure they're touching base with those online students and also putting assignments into the Google Classroom for the entire week for all students. We will not provide busing to the Learning Center. The hours of the Learning Center are 8 to 3. It does not start until after our red and blue cohorts. And so the first Wednesday that it's offered is the 16th of September. And because classrooms will be sanitized, it will be held in the gym and the cafeteria. Students must wear a mask all day and including recess because all students are mixed. And during the school week, we have our students in their classroom group, but when we have the Learning Center, they cannot be in their classroom group, and so we need to keep them with masks on all day. We will have our paraprofessionals there to help with that online classwork that's being assigned by their teacher. And the fee for the Learning Center would be $20 a day per child. And if there are multiple children in the family, it will be $15 per child. And we will send a sign-up form home with the kids in their backpacks. Hallway protocols. Our drinking fountains are closed, the spout that you drink out of, but we're going to leave the water bottle spout open for students to fill their water bottles. So please bring a water bottle. If not, teachers will have little Dixie cups in their classrooms so students can drink. And again, I already mentioned that there is a pitcher of water in the classrooms as well. Our hallways will be divided down the center and have arrows to show traffic patterns. And so our kids are getting a little bit of driver's training early because we're going to keep them walking in one direction on the right-hand side of the hallway. We have signs throughout the building reminding about safety protocols, and we will try to limit the number of students in the bathroom at a time. We have some dots on the floor that they will stand and wait until somebody comes out of the bathroom. The Cougar Den Learning Lab, that is a social emotional space to meet those needs that students have. They pop up all the time. And we have that room staffed with a mental health specialist and a paraprofessional. And that room consists of a brain lab, which is a place that kids spend about 10 minutes there to calm down or regroup if they just need a brain break. We have restorative meetings or conflict resolution meetings, they might be called. And also behavioral interventions, and that's just teaching social skills, and that's going to be really important since kids have not been mixing as much as they were before over the last five 5 months. When they're in the Cougar Den Learning Lab, they must wear a mask and they must distance from each other at all times because again, that's a mixed space. So they won't be necessarily with their own classmate. And any type of shared item, we will clean after each use. We do have mental health services here at school. We have a certified mental health provider, Miss Aubrey Griffin. Some of you are familiar with her. And if you'd like to request any individual or group services, there is a referral form right on our website. You click the elementary tab, and under the teacher website link, Miss Aubrey has her own website. Those services will be physically distant. Students will wear masks, and the room, of course, will be sanitized between students. Dismissal, and this is going to be tricky this year. Again, we can't have the mass of people that used to be out front last year or all the years prior. And so in order to do that, we're going to keep some kids inside, and we will have you retrieve them at different doors. Our circle drive this year will be closed off because we are busing. And so now that we have buses, our buses are going to pull up in Circle Drive. And so you will have to park your car and actually walk up to retrieve your student. You can park in the upper parking lot, which is directly across from the elementary school, or there's a big parking lot in the back of the middle school, high school, and there is street parking as well. And so go ahead and park and come on up. We are going to stagger our dismissal. Our 3 o'clock dismissal will be our 3rd floor. That's our 4th, 5th, and 6th graders. And then at 3:05, our 2nd floor, which is our 2nd and 3rd graders. And at 3:10, we will release our kindergartners. And that's just to keep from having large crowds outside. The students that can be picked up at their doors, Miss Duddle's classroom, Miss Noreen's classroom, Miss Kostecki, and then Miss Curtis and Miss Jans don't have classroom doors because they're on the 2nd floor, but we are going to use the 2 gym doors. And we will have signs on every single door so that you know which teacher's door your child is in. So we will have those laminated as well. So even if it rains, they will still be there. The other students will be standing in lines on the pavement. That's different as well. They were used to being able to just run around, talk to everybody. We're going to have them wait in line like they would when they line up for recess at the end of recess. And so those students that will be waiting in line will be the rest of the students that are not being picked up at the classroom doors. Our dial-a-ride students will be accompanied by a staff member until they load the bus. And we just ask that everyone please keep 6 feet of distance while you're waiting or gathering your children. 6 students. If we have students that are exhibiting those symptoms that we had back on the earlier slides, they will go with a designated staff member to a quarantine room until they're picked up by the parent. That quarantine room that we are using, we're very lucky that this school used to be a high school. We have a really nice locker room area, and so the staff person will situate their chair kind of in between where the gym is and the locker room area, where they can keep eyes on the child at all times. And we just ask that parents come quickly. At that point, we make a phone call to District Health Department number 10, and we let them know that we had a student with symptoms, and the health department will be the ones that advise us on the next steps. They may need to go have a COVID test. They may need a doctor authorization to return. We are deferring all of those medical related decisions to our health department. And so the student will have to stay home until we know what the health department wants them to do. If there is a COVID exposure, It could be a classroom, or maybe the entire school may have to close while the health department conducts contact tracing. And again, we are deferring those medical decisions to the health department, and they will advise us on what we need to do. All learning during the closure will be delivered through the Google Classroom by our classroom teachers, and it will be seamless. There will not be a wait. And so if we go home on a Tuesday and we're not allowed to come back, those students will be learning online and have assignments on Wednesday, the next day, and until we return. And so our health department will be the ones that are advising us in terms of when we can reopen. We will offer Latchkey. That also does not begin until the red and blue cohorts are done. And so that will be September 14th. And it's the same time frame from 3 o'clock after school until 5:30. And that is offered on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday is the day we're closed, and Thursday and Friday. While they're at Latchkey, just like the Wednesday Learning Center, they must wear masks at all times, whether they're inside or outside, due to having mixed students. Shared items will be disinfected, just like on the playground during classrooms, and we're only offering it on our in-person learning days, so we are closed for Latchkey on Wednesdays, and we will also send a sign-up form for Latchkey. Our online learning option, like I said, we have about 55 people that have taken advantage of that option. Our classroom teachers will be providing all of the content from our own curriculum through the use of the Google Classroom. I think that that's something that makes Crossroads very special, because we didn't purchase a canned program. Half the time the links don't work in those programs. And so our teachers are the ones that are providing all of this content. We have great teachers, and so they're going to get a good learning experience. Those teachers will contact the parents for a meeting on how to use the system. It might be a virtual meeting, it could be an in-person meeting. Those contacts will happen in those first 3 weeks, like during our red and blue cohorts. Teachers will provide a two-way communication for the online learners. That means at least twice a week. It could be a Zoom meeting, could be a phone call, could even be an in-person, because we will allow some of those online learners to come in to meet with their teachers on Wednesday if they need a face-to-face learning experience. And they will have a daily attendance check-in in the Google Classroom. Teachers will decide when assignments have to be in. Some teachers are saying as long as they do the assignments within the week. Some other teachers will have different requirements. And so it just depends on what that teacher desires as far as handing in assignments. Art and music and movement content will also be provided for our online learners. And so there is band online content, but only for 6th graders who did band last year. There will be extra reading and math content provided by our Title I teacher, Vicki Bowman, and special education services can also be provided online. Again, it's a seamless transition to online learning for those cohorts. So if you're in the red cohort, you'll be here the first 2 days of school, and then the second 2 days, you'll be home learning. And then our blue cohort, you can start out online, and then you'll come to school those last 2 days of the week. And if we were to have a COVID exposure, like I said, we aren't going to have any lag in time of when school starts up again. It will be instant. The good news is also, at least for this year, there's no such thing as having to make up snow days. And so if we have snow days, the learning will just continue, and then we don't have to make up those days come spring. So we will actually know what our last day of school is, and it doesn't matter. Chromebooks will be distributed for our online learners and our blue cohort learners Monday from 1 to 4. You'll just pull up into Circle Drive, and we will have a table out there, and we will get you your Chromebooks. Now our red cohort learners, they're going to be here on the first day of school, so we will give their equipment to them on a school day. And that is all I have for you today. I'm sure there are things that I didn't cover, and so please get those questions in the chat box. If you haven't looked to see who your children have for their teacher, that is on the webpage. It was emailed through a mass email, but it's also on our webpage. You just go to the CCA BR webpage and click the elementary tab, and you will see it right there so that you can see if your child is in the red or the blue cohort and find which teacher they have. This slideshow will also be uploaded, both the Zoom meeting with my voice and just the slideshow will be uploaded. And then I'm going to take all of your questions from the chat box and I'm going to provide answers for those. We will get that document up on the elementary tab also. And then if we still don't answer your questions after that, then please go ahead and email me and I will get you a response. So thank you for attending today, and I wish you all a great weekend. We are so excited to see our kiddos back in school. We can hardly stand it. And so we will see all of them on Tuesday. Well, half of them on Tuesday and the other half on Thursday. Have a good night.